All right, so our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from April 13th, 2020. Anyone who was there, like to make a motion to approve? Everybody received the minutes?
I didn't read. I can't see them.
Yes, Stacy, can you scroll down?
Sure, hang on one second. I was
Thank you
just
so much.
taking its sweet time getting the YouTube going here. Okay.
We all set? Does anyone want to make a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
It's Amanda?
Second. Second.
Thank you.
You could just identify yourselves when you're making motions.
Oh, got it.
Okay,
Roxanne, second.
Amanda made the motion.
Okay, if there's any further discussion, if not, signify by saying aye. Jeff Dunn, aye.
Mike
Sweeney, aye.
That's right, two Mikes. Mike Maddow, aye.
Amanda, aye.
Roxanne, I.
All right. Motion passes. And so let's move on to our next agenda item. I should have the agenda up separately here. Okay, so yeah, which is probably the main reason why I wanted to have this meeting today rather than push it off to a later time, because Stacy's doing double duty, providing the Zoom for the Board of Education as well. But under old business, discussion of strategies to assist local businesses. I do know our letter got out. We got a nice little warm and fuzzy response back to it. But overall, I think it was well received. I don't know if anyone heard anything back other than that letter.
I do. I continually hear back from people who are expressing appreciation for all the information we're putting out there.
Good. I know Mike, Sue, and I have been talking about ways to kind of get that information out about the restaurants and also the additional businesses. I don't know, Mike, maybe you want to take that up and just
Well, one of the things we did was we ended up putting out information to some of the local Facebook sites, basically just promoting the listing that is on our website. We just started there. We were trying to figure out how on Facebook we could create our own group, and it seems to be more of a bigger undertaking than we were originally thought.
Stacy, is it possible to call up that page while we're talking about it?
Sure.
The Thomaston, Connecticut.
Hang on 1 second.
The one from our website first.
Oh, okay, right. So there is a page on our EDC link that links and shows all of the different restaurants in town. And what Stacy has done is linked either their website or their Facebook page to that list. So this is what we publicized on Facebook on some of the Thomaston pages. If you click on any of the names, it'll take you to either their web page or their Facebook page. What we were looking to do was expanding on this. This is a good list. It brings people the information they need. We were looking to, again, create a group, and because that was such an undertaking, we were kind of looking around what else we could do. So there is a Thomaston, Connecticut page that's sort of a clearinghouse that Facebook puts together. And it basically drives, this page is driven when someone checks in. So I don't know, Stacy, if you can.
Yep, hang on 1 minute.
So if you're in town and you're somewhere and you do a check-in at that location, it may come up on this site. The problem with this site is, or this page is, there's no control. So everything and anything will show up here, which may not necessarily be a good thing. As you can see, the format is nice. Where to go, eat, drink, sightseeing. Could you go back up, Stacy? Sightseeing, hotels, shopping, nightlife. So it does give a nice list, and I assume it breaks it out through some kind of algorithm that they have. But as you can see, Railroad Museum, Krabby Owl's, CJ's Treasures. This gets populated because someone checked in at Krabby Owl's or the Railroad Museum. If you can go down a little bit, Stacy. And then let me see if there's any more. If you click on see more places to eat, you'll see these postings are from different people based on those check-ins that I was talking about. It's nice, but again, there's zero ways for us to control this. There's no way for us to add input or anything else. So it's a quick way to get information out there, but it's also flawed.
What I'm thinking too is, we didn't really talk about this, but as we put out notices that we want to try to help the restaurants and businesses in town, you can say here are multiple sources to find out what's happening in Thomaston, and our EDC site is fully vetted from us, and here are other sites. But the idea is to just make sure that the restaurants populate their Facebook page if they have one, or their website if that's their preferred mode. And then make sure that when we're on the town page, you're clicking on it, you're going to the page that those restaurants want you to go to. because you can get, I'm the worst at searching because I always pick the wrong search engine and then I select all these stupid things before I get to where I need to go.
So a good part of our discussion was trying to create a Facebook page, and we had some people that actually are in the industry of creating pages, not necessarily websites, really, trying to look into this for us, and it's pretty to make something like this. Did we figure out that we almost couldn't do this, Jeff?
Yeah, so this is a feature of Facebook that just automatically populates. If you put in Watertown, Connecticut, you'll get a page that looks almost identical to our page, other than it populates with different businesses and whatnot. But it seems like every town in Connecticut has this: Terryville, Connecticut, Watertown, Connecticut, and they all populate based on what town your business is in. So in that regard, it kind of takes care of the setup and the it's seamless from town to town, so that people get used to that look of what you get from a town. But
Right.
Like I said, we don't, anyone can be listing in there, and you don't have control over it.
But to set up a page that has the headings in the top and some of the features this does, it seemed, if I recall, it was almost as complicated, or maybe even more complicated, than setting up a website in itself.
Well, it is, because
Is that what they were
you
saying?
have to have an administrator you have to be a person before you can be an organizational page. So
Right.
you have to set up your own personal page and then be the administrator to this organizational page. And it's not as seamless as something like what Facebook created themselves.
Right.
Well, I can share that when we were trying to form our Facebook page, a Facebook page for the park committee, the revitalization committee. It's at Thomas Park. It's been near impossible to do. Like, they just keep rejecting us for some reason. They don't want us to do it. I'm not the one doing it. Mary was the one doing it, but she's just been hit with blockade after blockade trying to create this Thomaston Park page, and it's not been easy.
I do have a page for my business. It's not hard to set up a simple page, but Stacy, if you go back to the top of this one.
I think because we're not a business, they want to know if we're a nonprofit. They ask questions that we couldn't
Right.
answer, and that's where we kept getting a snag. So I think maybe being EDC, maybe because it's municipal, maybe it's slightly different than what we were trying to do. I don't know.
What I'm saying is the where to go spaces, where you have separate pages that you can go to. I don't know if that's even possible to do by yourself. Facebook set this up, but I don't think they allow, or they certainly make it very difficult to set it up. And that would be something that would be great for us to have. We could tell people where the restaurants are,
where
the retailers
website,
are,
Mm-hmm.
where where to go hiking, outdoor and outdoor activities and museums and entertainment. That would be great. But unfortunately, I think what we were figuring out after a lengthy conversation was that it would be pretty difficult. So go ahead, Jeff.
The other thing is, time is of the essence. As it is,
Yeah.
we're a couple of weeks behind from where we wanted to be when we first had this concept. So we want to try to start getting information out as soon as possible so that people can become more engaged with our restaurants in town. And so it seems that the two viable things that we have right now is our restaurant page on our town's website, and then this page as part of Facebook.
the next step would be to try to drive the restaurants to doing things so that they actually show up on this page.
And so I've been trying to call and discuss this, and I've reached probably 6 or 7 restaurants at this point. And they are doing things on varying levels. What I talked about with Mike briefly was that maybe I could create a one-page kind of how-to or suggestions on what restaurants should be doing right now in order to stay engaged with the population. And so it would be updating your Facebook page by a certain time every week. If you have a website, to make sure that is also updated, because that's what's on our page. Your special hours of operations, if you're doing them different than typical. And then maybe even, just listing some of those recommendations that are out there for all the restaurants as far as, curbside pickup and how to handle payments and orders and all that kind of stuff.
Now, have we gotten any information during this research on how the local restaurants are being impacted by this? Is this hurting them, or have they been doing better? Not better, but have they been all right given that they are local and really the only places close to go?
So I haven't heard anything officially. I've been talking to a lot of restaurants, and I've personally been trying to kind of spread it out a little bit and go to different places just so that I could, help each one out and also have some conversations. I think when you look at a place, like a sit-down place, like, well, Krabby Owl's is closed. They're closed throughout this whole thing. They don't even want to try the takeout. I think Black Rock Tavern, they relied heavily on that sit-down dinner with cocktails and the tavern and whatnot, so that their sales are going to be greatly reduced from where they were when the restaurant was open. I think other places, maybe Patty's place isn't quite as hurt. I mean, she still lost a lot of revenue because there's not people sitting in there, but she was already doing a lot of to-go orders, so it probably hasn't slipped quite as much.
I think some are doing better than others from what I've found.
Yeah, I don't think any are at the level where they were pre-COVID, though.
I would think from my conversations with them, they're all struggling to some point. I don't think anyone's doing better through this by any means. They're all just trying to keep their doors open.
I do think they say that nationally pizza sales are up because pizza naturally delivers well, is great for takeout and delivers well home. You can get it home and still have a hot pizza and eat it and whatnot. So I would suspect that pizza deliveries and pickups are a lot higher than what they were prior to this.
That makes sense.
I'm sure as we go on, if there's a soft opening the end of May, I'm sure that the takeout places will certainly continue to do better. I think it's going to be a while before the sit-down places really get back on their feet, especially if they're limited as to how they can open.
So what I'm going to try to do is create some sort of document that we can put out as part of an email and in our messaging going forward, both for restaurants and also just for any Thomaston residents that are kind of trying to navigate the restaurant scene in town, and also maybe try to find a way to have some language in there to really encourage people to support them. Because while I think some of the social distancing orders are going to be lifted for restaurants and other places of gatherings, it's still a long road ahead of us. I think we're looking at probably June or later before we'll see anyone in restaurants, and even then the seating will probably be reduced down to at least half of what they're at now. I saw a draft from the state today for places like theaters and whatnot. And they're recommending 28.3 square feet per person for seating in a place like that. So if you look at a place like the Opera House with typically 519 seats, it would mean about 127 point something seats we could have for any performance.
Is that even viable?
No.
I didn't think so.
Well, I mean, not for what we're doing now. And you know, so I think everybody's going to be looking at, well, what can they do with those kind of limitations and make it somewhat viable. But, you know, when you consider the economic impact that will have, where we typically are looking at an average of 350 people in the house to about a third of that, that means there's only about a third of the people going to restaurants now, and
Right.
spending other money that way. So anyway, I'm going to try to get that letter squared off this week, and I'll share it with everybody if they want to have their input in it, or if anyone else wants to.
Well, something I'd like to add to what we're currently doing with restaurants. I sat down and started writing a list of retailers. I really think we should add retailers to that list. I think we should call it a business list as opposed to a restaurant list, because there's retailers out there that are opened and struggling as well.
I say we make it maybe the same communication but separate tabs or something on it, so that you know.
Well, even if you went down on the same page and you had a header restaurants, you list those, and below that you could do it on the same page. You just separate out the restaurants from the other retailers, you know.
And if we were to do that, though, this comes back to our web page. You know, the Facebook page works well for whatever you're doing, whether it's activities, restaurants, retail, whatever the case may be. Whereas our website, the town's website, has that dining page, but it doesn't necessarily have a retail page.
Well, you're talking about our website?
Yeah. Do we have one?
I don't know. I don't think we have a dining page necessarily, do we?
Well, what is that page we're looking at?
Well, I think we need to change the name of that page to business page, so that it not just dining, it includes our retailers as well.
So when you look at
point.
living, you know, if you look at on our website, you go to living, and then you look on the left-hand side of the calendar of events, dining, driving directions, historical society. Yeah, I think what you do is you add another page in there. So right next, dining, and then there's retail.
I didn't realize that was actually called dining. I don't know. Is it easier just to change the name of that page instead of calling it dining? Call it.
Well, my feeling is our website.
Our businesses.
This is just my thought. Our website is diluted enough as it is, and it's like, I just happen to know because I had searched for that earlier, that I can go in there and go to living and find it under dining. It's not obvious when you go to the homepage how to get to any of that. So
I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah. So
I can't tell you how many times I've combed through this.
Everything we're doing, we have to create those links to get people into that to look. So it's just as easy to make another link, you know, retail, or you know, business, retail and businesses or whatever. But I think dining has to be a standalone. And honestly, you know, entertainment and attractions could be another page that we put in there, you know, which could include, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what it takes to add a page, That's why I'm saying it. If it's easier just to change the name, it depends on what's easier. I don't know what resources we have, but if it's easier to just add a page, that's fine. I don't care how we do it, but I think we're missing we're missing servicing a section of businesses in town that could really use our help, whether it's the dry cleaners or the feed store or the auto parts store. These places are open, and or the tailor. These places are open, but I think
I
we should
still
be
think
thinking
that
about them as well.
I think it should still be separated though, dining and retail, because when I go to a page and if I'm looking for something specific like dining, which is, something that I don't want to have to go to like all the business page. I want to go to dining and I want to go to retail if I want to go to retail.
Yeah.
So
Well,
separate
and
that
again,
way.
don't get me wrong. I'm just thinking about expediency right now. I mean, I'm all for having separate pages for the same reason you're talking, Roxanne, but I think right now we just need to do something, and whatever's easier is what I'm saying. If it's going to take us 3 months to add a new page, or it would take us a week to change the name of this page, obviously we want to do whatever's faster right now because they need our help now. That's my point. In the long term, I agree with you. If we had separate pages for dining, for retail, for
Right. Yeah.
entertainment, that would be optimal. That would make the most sense.
Well, it seems like the dining page is off of the living page. So kind of Mike, to go with what you were saying, what if we do a living and then the dining and then the retail? And we could even go as far as maybe not now, but we could break it down farther into different business types too. And just go off the living page. Kind of taking into account what Roxanne said, when you're looking for something, you're looking for something. But at least they're all under one heading.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Stacy's having trouble with her microphone.
She is. She said nobody can hear her.
All right. No, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All
Yeah.
righty. I don't know what just happened, but I'm glad I was able to fix it. In short, it's easier said than done getting some of this page stuff changed. I mean, adding content to an existing page, not as challenging. Creating an entirely new page might be challenging.
That was my point.
Even renaming, like renaming dining, because it's on the pull down here, that's going to require some back end stuff.
So
Not to say it's impossible, but I don't know how quick it'll be.
I'm going to go back to what we were talking about earlier. The more dynamic, accessible page for most people is going to be the Thomaston, Connecticut page from Facebook, which, granted, we can't control what's in there, but when we do control it, it takes us a long time to get anything to come up.
I think it's great for right now. I do. I mean, I think it's quicker than anything else we could probably put together. I mean, obviously, I'll keep working on the Facebook. I mean, the website page, but in an interim, I think the Facebook is great. For what we're trying to do.
Stacy, who do we have in-house that is actually, besides updating things, that is actually able to add pages and move things around? Who is doing that at this point?
To my understanding, nobody in the building. It is
So
something that has to be done by the people we got the page set up from.
That's what I was afraid of. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, we may have to ask a couple of questions, and I can ask Deb Bonneville about it tomorrow to see, what the process is and who and how that you can change stuff, or if it's proprietary to the people who post it.
Any conversations I've had with Deb or with Pat, because they're the ones who do the bulk of the updating. I have rights to get on and do it, but Pat's just like, she's quick with it, so she does it. But anytime I've broached any of this, it's been like with a heavy sigh of, oh boy, this is going to be difficult, because unfortunately the back end stuff doesn't seem as user friendly as it could be.
And is that it's going to be difficult because Deb has to do it, or it's going to be difficult because we have to get the company that put it?
We have to get them to do it, and it's challenging trying to connect there, is my understanding, and explaining what it is we want versus, it would be easier to have somebody in-house able to do some of this, but.
And the other question I had is, when on our dining page, where we have the name of the companies in blue, and the link brings you to the website that you said you can change it to Facebook if they don't have a website, or depending on what they prefer. Is there any way to add another column so that one's a website, one's a Facebook address?
The challenge we have with that is the limited amount of space on the page. And what you can't see here is how long it took Pat to get this on here, because in order to, if you don't want it to look all cockamamie and all over the place, she first has to take everything, put it on a Word document or Excel document, get that uploaded to the web page, and then even sometimes then things are all over the place. It took her hours.
Wow.
So yeah, between that and this was like a finely tuned balance here, getting it to look like this.
Wow.
She didn't really, the space that I'm moving the arrow around in is really all you probably have to play with, and I don't think that's going to be enough space.
Okay.
We can reduce the font, but then we thought that was less easy to read.
Yeah, well, I'm even thinking though, if you just have a button, it doesn't even have to have their whole name or anything, but just a Facebook button and to the right of every company's name. So if you click on the company name, you get their website. Click on the Facebook button, it'll bring you to their Facebook page. So you have to create the button and the link on each one of them.
And that part of it is really not difficult. It's trying to find the room for it in there. I know it looks like there's room. As to whether or not when she goes in to do it, I can't guarantee, but I can certainly talk to her and see if all we're writing is Facebook, like right next to Black Rock Tavern, perhaps we can do that.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, I'm using this list and I'm following up with the people the best I can, and finding out, what their preference is, where they'd like to go, whether it's, whether they have a website or not, whether they're open or closed too, because, they may want to put that message up on their website if it's not there, that, we are temporarily closed until such and such, like Great Wall Kitchen, I believe, is still closed.
I believe so.
Yeah. And I think the Panda Chinese restaurant is as well. So.
Sushi Q is open now, though.
Yes, they are.
Are they? Oh, good to know.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, learned something new. All right. So that's how we'll proceed with this. So Stacy, you said you wanted to bring up something on the restaurants. Do you want to do this now or
it kind of makes sense to do it here. So if you can hang on 1 second, I'm going to change the share. Just got this today. In a nutshell, when that day comes, when things do reopen, it appears that the way in which restaurants and bars and such are going to be able to reopen is via outdoor service. So This is a statement from the Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection. They handle liquor control and the licenses for liquor control. And it's just basically making known that if you wish to offer outdoor service of alcoholic beverages at your restaurant, bar, or other dining establishment, you need local and state approvals. The form you're supposed to use is patio/extension of use and or additional consumer bar application. It's an addendum that you submit with your on-premises liquor license. Now, before an applicant can send that into the state, they first have to get sign off from the fire marshal and from the zoning office.
Are we
Thomaston,
prepared to streamline this for our local restaurants?
yeah, I'm getting there. Thomaston has, in the zoning regulations, has requirements for permitting approvals for liquor licenses and outdoor service, et cetera. And it's normally in the ordinary course of events, something that requires a special permit, which has a mandatory public hearing component. Now, we discussed this, I emailed the P&Z people briefly already about this. I've already talked with the land use attorney about this. It's all over the planner's listserv because all the towns are kind of grappling with how are they going to try and streamline this. There is some talk about an additional executive order around all of this, but we won't know anything until we know it. P&Z is meeting Wednesday night. That was just their ordinary night, and they do have a full agenda, but they do know that we're going to be talking about this that night. And what is likely going to be the way that this is going to be handled is as a temporary permit until, like, say, September 30th, and that they would just need to come in and get get approval from me here in the office for the outdoor, and that we could sign off on that. Because then from there, they have to send it to the state. And while there is no fee associated with the application, there's however long that's going to take. I'd like to think they'd expedite it, but I don't know. Quick count based on our restaurant list. We have approximately 25 restaurants. Of that, approximately 15 had some level of liquor permit. Of that, only 6 already had in place a patio extension of use. So you're looking at 9 or 10 that don't have it yet that might be considering it. Now, that's part one of the issue. Part two is that some of the restaurants in town already have their approvals in place for outdoor seating as a part of their restaurant. Chow has it, Epicure has it, the brewery, when they finally open, they're all set. Some businesses do not, and some of them are located in the town center, and they're contemplating using their parking area behind the restaurant as their service area, which calls into question parking issues. Again, this is another thing where traditionally this would be a site plan approval before P&Z. While quicker than a special permit, it still has a time component. So that's another thing that they're going to be looking at. I've heard from 1 or 2 people individually, and I do think there is a desire to handle this as expeditiously as possible, but they do still want to make sure that they're not creating a situation that's potentially dangerous. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that. As I get more information, once I know what this text amendment's going to look like, if I could have your help getting the word out, obviously I'll do it via the newsletter, the e-blast, but if you guys have contacts with any restaurant owners, to let them know, hey, if you're gonna go that route, you're gonna need to stop into the town hall and make sure, or via phone, stop into the town hall and make sure you're all set up so you don't run into any issues.
Should we reach out to those specific, what did you say, 9 or 10?
Yeah. We can definitely do that, yeah.
I mean, it would be nice that we give them a heads up of some kind, right?
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that's, yeah. So that's why, as soon as we got this, we literally got this today, and then we got behind the scenes, got the wheels in motion, because we knew, you know, a text amendment for P and Z normally can take 2 to 3 months. We're gearing up to have something voted on by May 20th.
Right.
So
Well-
that this could happen by Memorial Day weekend if need be.
Is this something that you do, Stacy, or is this something that we do as EDC?
I'm sorry?
To reach out to these 9 or 10 businesses or restaurants, is that something that you do or we do that?
It could be either way. Like I said, I don't mind doing the e-blast, and now that we have the spreadsheet with the phone numbers and everything, I don't mind calling people at all. I just know that you guys also have contacts that you can reach out to, and so just in the nature of good communication to people, I just want, in fairness, as you know, like say Black Rock Tavern and JDT's start to make their plan for how they're going to open up again. Hey, if you're going to be out in your parking area, you're probably going to need to try and figure out how you're going to safely do this and still meet, you know, some parking need.
You know, this may be a good place to start getting restaurants talking to other landlords and business owners in town to talk about shared parking and whatnot. I'm thinking particularly with like Black Rock Tavern, if they were to be using the back of their lot for dining, outdoor dining, then they would definitely be losing spaces for either employees or patrons that normally park back there. You don't want both.
So, I mean, I don't know exactly when it's coming down, but, you know, the conversations are starting. So I would just as soon get us going as quickly as possible. And fortuitously, P&Z has their meeting on Wednesday night, so they know that they're going to be looking at this on Wednesday night.
Good. Well, thank you, Stacy. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. What we really need is like the town dining, outdoor dining court or something. You know,
That would be fabulous, wouldn't it?
let's shut down Main Street. Think of a big long dining table. All right. Thank you for that. What's next on our agenda?
Hang on. Okay, I got it up. I didn't know if you guys wanted to talk about anything more with regard to the neighbor helping neighbor, the takeout thing. I mean, since we're kind of moving towards reopen, I didn't know about that. Lisa Jennings, I don't know if you guys saw the email. She had this Save Maps mom and pop shops website where businesses could list themselves, and it's kind of like a catch-all place where people can put, hey, you want to buy a gift certificate to John Q. Smith's store, you can do that.
And I didn't see it. How does that work?
Here, let me. I'm pulling it up right now. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay.
What is that?
So-
Savemaps.io?
Yeah.
Is that the site?
Yep.
All I see is Watertown right now. But actually, I mean, it is kind of what we were talking about too, where you have Farm Shop Chubba's, Triple Play, Jimmy's of Watertown,
It was,
Connecticut True Value, Dry Cleaners.
it's a local, I'd have to go back and check Lisa's email, but it was somebody comparatively local who wanted to put this site together. And that's, I would suspect why it's.
So this might be something to consider as well. I mean, it looks like you have some control as to who might go in there. I don't know how you actually get on there, but let's just look at that.
It's I don't think it's actually local. I think that they do local, right? Because I read about it. They're all over the country.
Yeah, because as you can see,
Yeah.
you can
they're-
pick any.
Right.
Apparently, Connecticut.
Yeah.
We only have Watertown in here thus far, but
Right.
let's see.
Yeah, because I looked at it when she sent it out. I looked at it pretty good, and it's just it's what you want to put into it. You can hook onto this if we could get in here.
Well, you click on the register of business, you put all that information in, upload your business logo.
Mhm.
Do you sell gift cards online? Register. Link to your website.
It's good. I'm just curious to know who is,
Mhm.
who the administrator is.
It tells you that the dudes on the bottom down there, Feinstein and yeah, those two. I mean, I just read about I don't know anything about them though, other than what it says on there.
So I guess my only thing with this is that it only has one thing where it's selling gift certificates. It doesn't really sell anything else. Like you can't go to their website and get a menu for what they're selling or hours of operations, things of that nature.
What happens when you click on the business? Nothing happens? Doesn't go to
Okay,
the site or anything?
hang on a second. And I guess you have to log in and let's see, check out.
From what I can see, it's basically a site to buy gift cards.
Right.
Yeah.
Gives
Mhm.
information and just to buy a gift card.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you could click on the image and go to the website, it would be like, okay, that'd be something. But I think what they're trying to do is limit that so that they're getting some sort of fees or something for selling the gift cards.
I'm
But
sure that's what it boils down to. They're getting a tiny kickback.
Probably.
I
Yeah.
gotta think so. I'm sure there's a motive there somewhere.
Yeah. They have to. They're getting something.
well, it's certainly something we can look at further, but I don't think that necessarily wants to be our initial efforts at this point, is it? Or is it?
I think if we continue to do what we're talking about doing, we ourselves can ask people to buy gift cards as opposed to having some outside. I don't know if, call me skeptical. I don't know anything about them. I don't know, people are going to be putting their information into this site and I don't know what they're doing with that information. So
That's a fair point.
I'm a little concerned about
Yeah,
that.
I'm wondering if Stacy or anyone else could say what we're allowed or not allowed to do. Like if I said, hey, why doesn't EDC just create a website like that where we get everybody in town to kind of put their thumbnail, image, connection to their website and all that stuff, and we were to create something like that. Does the town allow us to do that, or are we not allowed as a commission to do that?
To have our own website?
Right.
I'd have to check into that. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily a website for us to do business. It's just a supporting website for us to help, foster businesses in town.
I mean, I've seen it in other towns a whole host of ways. I've seen where they had a separate website, and then I've seen where they've had like a really good little corner of the main town website, and they had all this great stuff that you guys are talking about wanting to put on the website. So I mean, you know, a lot of times rec commissions also have their own separate website
Yeah, I'm thinking
to
that,
do registration. So I mean, I'm sure it's doable. As to what town policy is, I'm not sure.
based on what you were saying, what Pat has to go through to, create that dining page, and it might be, just as easy to have just a simple web page that does its sole purpose is to drive people to those businesses, and then just put a link on our site to that.
Well, we did, this was a cleanup because there was links on there to things like Burbio and other things, but you went over there and there was nothing there.
What is
Or it was, it's another one of these ideas where, okay, at any happenings in a town could list themselves there. And people would just, the link was on our website, it took them over there, and in theory, you could see everything there. And then there was another link for calendars for a variety of different, things throughout town, but it also included things for town, places an hour away from here. It was there, but it was at part of this too is the regular maintenance of whatever we put in there, because what had been on here was very out of date. And I think part of the challenge is there's no one person to whom it's assigned, and two, because it's not user friendly to go in and do this stuff quickly, I think it unfortunately
Mhm.
sat too long. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. If there's nothing else under old business and discussing ways to help with COVID, we can move to new business and discuss the virtual alternative to the May 13th Small Business Series.
I was just looking to find out if you guys just wanted to cancel outright or if you wanted to rework this.
Tanisha wants to cancel.
Okay.
She's not available. She said
Yeah.
she'd get back to me. She's so busy that I haven't actually spoken to her in over a month. And she's just, I don't think she has time for this right now.
I can
I don't
imagine.
think May 13th is necessarily it, but I'm just wondering if there's interest in like creating some sort of, virtual meeting for small businesses in Thomaston, even if it's not through the Small Business Association, where we just hosted it, invited businesses to all Zoom in, and let's talk about what they need, what they can be doing, like we're doing this, the restaurants and retailers, that we have sites that they can be posting on, telling them best practices for that, and then listening to their concerns. I mean, it would be great if the Small Business Association were involved with that, but if not, we have a desire to do that ourselves.
So aside from talking about what we're planning on doing for them.
You just cut out.
You cut out on us.
Oh, sorry. Aside from talking about what our plan is, what would be our agenda?
Well, I think the agenda would be to get feedback from the businesses in town. We're kind of plugging along here, but we don't really know, what their obstacles are, what their concerns are, what maybe they can give some ideas of things that are working that can help other businesses. Some of the things that don't work, so don't bother trying doing that.
Sort of like a forum, then let them talk is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
like a
Let them
town
sort of
hall.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could put a couple of things out, 2 or 3 things that we would want to talk about, but then you just kind of open it up to anyone that wants to share gripe or do whatever, you know. And again, you know, we could do it kind of like a virtual cocktail party where, you know, it's after hours. You can all sitting at home having a cocktail and talking about it rather than, you know, kind of like if we were to do the business recognition event, you know, we could be having that at, you know, cocktail hour and hors d'oeuvres and stuff.
I think that it could certainly not hurt. I think that you never know what kind of creations could come from a gathering like that. I mean, you'd be surprised at the collaborations that could come out of it. Like, you never know if they come up with something like a close the main street down, you know, and just have a little sidewalk outdoor thing, you know. I mean, you never know. Maybe a couple of restaurants downtown will collaborate on something, and it could happen. It could, the seed could have been planted at a Zoom gathering like that, you know.
If it's not the Small Business Association, you know, we might be able to invite someone like the Chamber of Commerce, invite the arts agencies, whether it be Northwest Arts or the Arts Collaborative of Greater Waterbury, maybe the tourism district, that kind of thing, and just talk about, you know, having those industries there too, listening to the businesses and, you know, kind of offering some help. I know there's a lot of ideas for art, you know, arts in place and things like that are being discussed now.
Thoughts?
I think that could be good. It's similar to the one the Central Connecticut Chamber did a similar one. The turnout wasn't that strong. So I definitely think it's something we would have to discuss with the businesses beforehand. It would really have to be pushed personally, not just a post online. But I think because it is a smaller community, there may be more value to it for the local businesses.
Mike, did they do that? Like, did they do that during the crisis just now, or was that something in the
Yes,
past?
it was recent.
Okay.
Last week or the week before. I think we had 3 people join in on it.
Okay.
But again, that was just blast generic emails. It wasn't it's a much bigger community with a much bigger emailing list. It's not a situation where we were walking in as we're in Tony's getting a coffee. Hey, by the way, this is going on.
Right.
I think there may be more potential here for that.
You know, I think you could do it, and actually it could expand to something much bigger. If you included things like the Fine Arts Connection in Thomaston, I know they're kind of sitting on their hands right now trying to figure out if they're going to be having concerts this summer. You know, what's happening with the Fireman's Carnival, what's happening with the car show. And, you know, you start looking, you know, what will happen with Light Up the Town. You know, we could be having those discussions as well as, you know, what businesses who rely on those events and what they're trying to do moving forward and what they expect is happening. And maybe you would have panelists that can, you know, have free talking, or someone who moderates it and opens and closes mics, and everybody else can listen, and then they can either submit questions through chat or raise a hand so that they can be asking questions after the formal thing is done.
I think it would have to be moderated, but I think the idea of having this forum is good. How else can all these businesses get together and talk, and organizations, and talk about what's going on and what they're like you were saying earlier, what their successes are and what's not working, and we might be able to help each other in that sense. Not to mention the idea of the future planning is that makes sense.
And I do think that, you know, probably within the next few weeks, there's going to be more discussion about additional, you know, stimulus money and whatnot. And, you know, that may be something that can be discussed as well.
I know that was a hot topic with a few people that I was talking to. I think, Stacy, you put out a lot of good information. I was directing people and even forwarding your information to different people.
Good.
So I think that was good. We were able to answer these questions for them.
So what does everybody think? And if we're going to do it, you know, when would we want to try to put something? And, you know, again, I think it's you probably want to do it quicker rather than, slower. But what do people think about when we might potentially be able to do this?
Who would moderate it? Would you be able to do that, Jeff?
Yeah, probably. Although, I'm really kind of thinking that maybe we could find, like I said, if it's not the Small Business Association, maybe it's a chamber or something that could do it, so that it's kind of an outsider kind of moderating and letting everybody from Thomaston kind of speak as they will. But, I would be willing to do it. Nobody else does.
The meeting too, kind of like Stacy does for us, because you would want to keep everybody muted who's not talking.
Right.
Otherwise, it would get crazy.
Yeah, I just said I'm sitting in on a lot of webinars now, so I'm kind of getting the idea of how these things flow. And you have one person who's talking, and if you have panelists that are able to either chime in, or you can they raise their hands and you let them speak, and then that moderator could say, oh, there's a question from so and so who's asking this, and so that way you limit the amount of talking that's going on back and
I'm sorry, did Mike Sweeney leave?
Yeah, it looks like it.
forth.
Might have gotten disconnected.
Yeah.
He gave us 1 hour. That was it.
Yeah.
Now,
Because I don't know that we have quorum at this point.
4.
Four out of
maybe.
8.
4 is more than half, right? We have 7.
You have 8 now.
We have 8.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Okay.
Sue, Mike, Matt. Who else is missing?
Yeah, there's 4.
Alyssa.
Oh, Alyssa. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we have quorum now.
Well, we won't make any more motions unless Mike comes back on. So today's the 4th. Would we want to try to do something leading up to Memorial Day? Or maybe right after Memorial Day? Well, here's the thing. I want to know if there's a selectmen's meeting tomorrow night. I'm kind of curious to know what's happening with our Memorial Day parade and services. Has there been any considerations for that yet? Who's making those decisions? So I think there's a lot that we need to start communicating as a town and that we're not doing right now. So maybe best to try to
have this. Sorry, Jeff, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I think our intention, if we're going to try to have this, should be Memorial Day, only because if things do start to open up for Memorial Day weekend, I feel like we should try to help out before that happens, rather than like kind of being proactive rather than retroactive.
Yeah.
Depending on what we're trying to get across, I guess.
Well, I think next week's too soon. Would anyone be, I can't do that Monday. And then we got the selectmen's meeting on Tuesday. Anything happening on the 20th in town?
But Stacy, can you click on the calendar for May?
Okay, I have to go get my calendar. I'll be back in a minute.
Since I'm on the Thomaston, Connecticut website, I went to Living Calendar of Events and clicked on it. I see on the 19th is Zoning and Police Commission and Board of Selectmen, but on the 20th, there's nothing.
Yeah, according to our town calendar, it's open.
According to our town calendar. So, it's as good a day as any, right? What do you guys think?
Sure.
Man, you got a funky microphone there.
I know.
Yeah, you're in and out.
My headphones in.
if we're doing this as a Zoom meeting of you guys, we're going to need to do, I'm not going to be able to be there on the 20th.
I mean, other than recording it, is there any reason why?
If there's
Does
a
it have
quorum
to
of you
be-
guys there, it's a meeting.
Yeah, but does it have to be through the Thomaston's Zoom account, or can it be any Zoom account that runs this?
If it's a town commission, it's coming through here.
And
It
is it,
wouldn't
gonna-
be a commission, it would just be more like
But if there's a quorum of you guys, it's a meeting.
but it wasn't a meeting when we had our SBA event, and there was definitely a lot of us.
yeah, I think if we were to ask
Noticed.
the chamber or someone to host, to actually conduct this, it wouldn't necessarily have to be an EDC event. We're just asking someone to do this for us. It's more of just an open public forum than anything else.
Which chamber are you thinking of, Jeff?
I work a lot with Waterbury, but Northwest Chamber is fine too. I don't know which one's more active in Thomaston.
So what time are you thinking on the 20th?
I don't know. 6 o'clock?
I can do the 20th at 6 o'clock.
I think I can too.
And
I know that-
Stacy, if you can't be there, is there anyone else in town who's authorized or has access, or is there anything like that that would need to be done in order to have a Zoom meeting through our own Zoom account?
You want to maybe talk with Ed?
Okay.
6 o'clock, I could conceivably do if it's not going to go later than 7.
No, it's going to go later than 7. If people show up.
What I potentially, and we can figure this out, but what I could potentially do, no. Let me think about it. I might
Yeah,
be
I
able
mean,
to
I
set it
know,
up and
like,
make you co-host and then leave.
Yeah, well, and that's what I'm saying. I know, like with my account, I host some things. Andrea hosts other things, and I've given it to my board chair for others. So, but I don't know what the rules are around the town and how they do it.
Yeah, it's just trying to have coherency and making sure everything goes over to the YouTube, etc.
I think
For FOI reasons.
we can't make any decisions on this tonight anyway. So what I'll do is I'll make some inquiries tomorrow and see, if this is something that functions well through the town. If not, we can certainly ask someone like one of the chambers to do this, or even COG might be another option.
Yeah.
And just see if one of them could host a kind of a town hall fireside chat type of event for us. Anyone not like that idea?
No, I think it's fine. We're gonna have enough time to publicize it.
Well, I don't know. We have 2 weeks, 2 weeks and 2 days. I think if we can get something, planned out by day after tomorrow, or certainly by the end of this week, we'll have well over a week to, invite people to it. And I think there's several stakeholders that would probably be interested in chiming in. We would certainly go to the Rotary Club about it. We would go to the DTC and the RTC and Stacy's business list. If there's a chamber involved, maybe they can put a notice out to that, and then just go to Thomaston People Speak and place like that to publicize it. And if we actually get it planned out a little bit more in advance, maybe even an article in the newspaper about the event. Kurt Moffat has been tuning into a lot of these
Yeah.
webinars now.
Yeah.
In fact, I bet you he's going to listen to ours after the fact. If you're out there, Kurt, let us know. This will be after the fact. You'll text us. All right. What else do we have on our agenda for this evening?
Okay, hang on. No.
Roxanne, you're sitting in the dark. You're like in witness protection program.
Oh, you can't. Let me turn the light on. It got dark since I've been sitting here.
I talked to Mike and he said that his work computer rebooted at 8 and it kicked him off and he can't log back in. So he's going to try to log in from his
There
phone.
you go.
The discussion of the small scale manufacturing in Main Street, the secret sauce webinar.
I think that was Sue, wasn't it?
Yes. And I believe she went to it. That might have been what Ed also sent me the link to. Did you send me something today as well, Stacy?
Yeah, I think we sent, if it's not here, then it's on the, by the minutes. Hang on one second. Yeah, here we go. This right here is the actual video on YouTube. So if you go into our agenda and minutes, and we could send the link around again. But if you go in under agenda and minutes, under this meeting, this is where it is on our website.
Okay. Do we know if Sue attended it or did anyone else attend it that we?
I did.
Sue did. I had signed up for it, but ended up not being able to do it.
Stacy, was there any takeaway from that?
Well, you got to keep in mind, it was a couple of weeks ago, right as this all was starting. So some of the conversation was directed towards that, but the bulk of it after that was about, okay, after how do we help, small towns, that were struggling to begin with already with, small businesses and in light of the COVID-19. And she was advocating for like maker spaces for like when she says small manufacturing, I mean, really, we're talking very small that could easily occupy a storefront and kind of have the manufacturing of whatever the product is, and also something where the public can come in and buy right there, and that the size spaces would be good for that type of business, and that there is a link between that and getting town centers more economically viable. That was, in a nutshell, a lot of what she had to say. Oh, wait, here's Mike. And then she fielded a lot of questions on a lot of different things, some of the grant programs, et cetera, that were on at the time, and pushed that she does consulting, but she also has like a newsletter free of charge that she sends out, and we have gotten some things from that since. But that was really the emphasis was, like examples of small, small manufacturing type businesses that could be in these locations and could be a draw and could fit in with the character, etc.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Hey, Mike. All right. So if anyone wants to look at that afterwards, it does sound like it might be a little bit stale after several weeks of COVID-19, but some of the takeaways may still be there. What's next on our agenda? Ooh, staff report.
Well, you got the big bulk of it right there. And we've done 2 e-blasts since last time. I might even have it in here. Yep. This was the most recent one that went out with Jeff's letter. And then I do some bullet points in terms of other things that are happening. And this is something you may want to get the word out on. There were some, again, talking about some of these small maker places switched over to making PPE, protective equipment, personal protective equipment. And you could order them through this website right here. And then they were distributed to our region last Thursday in 2 locations. And we went and picked it up, and a variety of businesses ordered a grand total of like 600 of these that we picked up that day, but they're still taking orders for it if you go on that website, if people are in need of. This is for essential businesses. So there's that.
Stacy, do you send this out via some sort of mail service, or is it strictly just your email account?
My email. There's something like Constant Contact. I don't know if you guys wanted to do something like that, but
well,
yeah,
I actually use Vertical Response because it's free to nonprofits, and it's probably free to municipalities too. If you use for up to 10,000 emails a month. And the nice thing about it is you do get open rates and bounce rates and all that kind of stuff, and unsubscribes.
Yeah, no, that's probably useful information to have. So
MailChimp is another one that does it as a free basic service. All right. Anything else from staff wise? How you doing in your office, all locked up? And
we're doing okay. It's very quiet. Very quiet, but everybody's going along with it really well. I mean, we seem to be handling everything okay. If people email or call with questions, we're able to do that. Hector's still doing inspections, not as many obviously, but we're managing it. It's just quiet. It's like a ghost town sometimes.
Did you say that this was sent to us?
This was sent around, when was that? Was that what day last week? It was Thursday or Friday? This right here that I'm looking at was in your packet before this meeting, and it was also in last month's packet. And this was one of the emails she sent Ilana Prus, if I'm saying her name correct, the one who had that secret sauce seminar.
Oh, right. Yeah,
this
right,
was
right,
from
right,
her
okay.
as well.
Yeah.
This is part of her email that she sends out.
Yeah. Right.
So, that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
I don't feel like there's much in subcommittee reports other than that we have been talking about business relations and downtown development and parking. Well, not parking because there's plenty of parking now.
Unfortunately.
I think this, if we can do this webinar, that certainly goes to business relations and also just general town relations as well. Is there anything else anyone wanted to add during committee reports? The only thing I might add to this, we don't have the video and website subcommittee down on this. And I think, last month, it's certainly identified, and we talked about it again this month, that our website definitely needs some attention. I'm not sure if our committee wants to take that on, or I'm going to have some discussions immediately. But is there something else we want to be doing, or hold that until next month or the month after we get done with this crisis?
I say we wait.
Spoken from like somebody who's on that committee. Yeah, no, you're right. But we probably want to just keep that subcommittee listed on this so that we maybe can bring it up at a later time. Did we have any public comment out there? There's nobody from the public, but if anyone from the EDC wants to bring anything else up.
I'm glad you're all safe.
All right. So without any further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
From Mike.
Second, Amanda.
Amanda seconded, okay. Thank you, everybody. Expect to see a couple of emails from me and others in the next couple of days, and we'll see if we can get this thing rolling. Mike was off during a large portion of this, Mike, but we're looking to maybe do a public forum on May 20th to just try to hear from businesses and residents and whatnot of Thomaston to talk about how things are going and where we're going throughout this COVID thing.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I was still on for that one.
Oh, you were? Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your week. Talk to
You
you soon.
too.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Stacy.
Good night.
Good night.